set up the all-party group for the promotion of friendship with Libya. And I spend a great deal of time trying to promote a better understanding. But if the Libyans aren't prepared to even allow us to come and interact with them over these issues, it's very, very difficult.
Okay, we'll take a question from the lady in the front row there.
Good evening, I'm Iraqi. My question is to the opposition side of the debate. If you're sending this person back to his place, to his home, since he's not 100% innocent, what kind of a message you're sending to people?
That young lady has raised a very, very important issue here. What message does it send out if you are releasing convicted terrorists? Now, in our country, we see the coffins of British soldiers coming back every week who are being killed in Afghanistan, making that ultimate sacrifice to fight against terrorism. And yet, on the other hand, we are releasing convicted terrorists. It's a terrible message that goes out.
Jim Swire, you want to say something?
In essence, you are criticising the system that exists in part of your country, i.e. Scotland. There is an established policy of allowing compassionate release if you think that the person is within about 3 months of his death.
I spoke to an eminent QC who was also a member of Parliament, Sir Ming Campbell, about this issue, and he is equivocally, he's a QC, and he said there are 4 separate things you have to look at when releasing a prisoner. The severity of the crime, the consequences, and the sentence imposed. And in all 3, the court said that this crime was the worst atrocity, terrorist atrocity in Britain. The sentence was extremely high, and they only looked at his health. And that is the 4th option, very important. But what about the other 3?
I'm going to take a brief comment from Dr. Fetouri and then from El-Gamaty. He just spoke on your side.
Just in the comparison between Afghanistan and the case of Abdel Basit al-Magrahi. I mean, look, in Afghanistan, you invaded the country.
We're not discussing
that's
Afghanistan.
That's what we're expecting. I mean, what do you expect? I mean, whatever the reason was. But in this case, this is a dying man whose case is totally suspicious, whose the verdict against him is totally suspicious and circumstantial evidence, and he's dying. He couldn't wait for his appeal, which is he was quite certain that he will win it.
Okay, Guma El-Gamaty.
I'd just like to say that the gentleman there is shedding doubt on the judiciary system in Scotland and saying that courts in Scotland maybe are not totally independent. I'd like to tell you that Scotland is not Libya. In Scotland, the judiciary and the courts are completely independent and cannot be influenced by governments or politicians. And yet this is exactly the principle which we should...
No, let him speak. Let him speak.
Can I just speak? This is a free forum, please. Again, this is not Libya. This is Doha and free forum. Can I just also say this is exactly the important principle. The principle of maintaining independence judiciary and the independence of the courts and not getting the governments involved in dirty deals and giving in to blackmail from the Gaddafi regime is what we need to maintain.
Okay. No,
it's a far more important principle than compassionate release. And Al-Magrahi had the choice to go through the judicial courts and clear his name independently, and he chose to drop it, maybe under pressure from the Gaddafi regime.
Mr. Guma El-Gamaty, thank you. The questioner, you want to come back on this. Are you impressed by anything that you've heard?
Well, I'm impressed by this side. Taking the idea of compassionate, that the guy is dying, that the man is dying is not really, I don't know, it's not convincing because there is a possibility that he killed like more people, more souls than himself. What kind of a message, the moral message that this side of the debate is sending is okay because
okay, you've got your chance. Gentleman in the front row.
Thank you for the opportunity. I am also from Libya, and I would like to address some of the points raised by the side of the debate. Underpinning here on the side is the fact that Mr. Fetouri made the statement that Libya actually went out of its way to pay $2.7 billion and offer a sacrifice lamb, Mr. Magrahi, to be rot in jail for 9 years until he was released, just so that they can get it out of the way and make a public statement of admission of guilt, just to get it out of the way. This is a preposterous statement to say about a people and a country. This is one item. The second item is we hear from this side, we hear also from the regime in Libya, that this is a compassionate case, that this man is dying, that justice should take place. I want the world to know that at least Mr. Abdel Basit al-Magarhi had one thing that thousands of Libyans today never dreamed of: a day in court. There are thousands of prisoners in Libya who have been there for 20 more years, who've never had a day in court. They were never convicted, they were never tried, and they die in jail.
Can we come to a question,
yes,
please? Can we come to a question?
In this year, I'm going to conclude. In this year, we had an example.
With a question, I hope.
Yes. My question is, has the Gaddafi regime ever, in its 40 years,